Okay, but even though they didn't understand, it says that Mary must have understood something because she treasured this memory in her heart. I love this stuff. She didn't understand what Jesus said. She didn't understand it, but she remembered it. You got to know that as a teacher, I wonder sometimes how much actually gets through. And the reason why I can do it and sleep at night is because I remember what it was like to be a student and know that I'm hearing something that I have no idea what they're saying, but I can tell this is really important, and I'll just let it stay there like an undigested something in the mind, and just let it stay there as a kernel for a really, really long time until I grow up enough to understand what in the world they just said to me. So I had this professor one time, and he was Scottish, and he spoke in this accent that even if he was describing taking out the garbage, it'd be important because it sounded important coming out of a Scottish mouth, And he would say something, and I was sitting on the front row. I was at seminary. He'd say something, and I would go, wow, that sounds really cool. I have no idea what you just said. I wonder if anybody else understood it enough to write it down. And I look over my shoulder at the 175 sitting behind me, and I saw 175 sets of eyeballs going, wow, what did he just say? I hope somebody wrote it down. And he would look up, and he would go, let me put it another way. And he would say it again another way, and we'd all go, gosh, that was really awesome. No idea what you just said, but that was really cool. Perhaps I should put it a third way. And we just keep on going, Good old Dr. Ferguson, you got to love that. Well, Jesus wasn't speaking with an accent, but she didn't understand it. But it must have been one of her favorite memories, because maybe 40 years later when Luke gets around to writing his gospel and he goes to interview Mary and says, Mary, would you tell me what Jesus was like as a child? She says, there's something I got to tell you. I've been dying for somebody to ask me this, and you're here now, let me tell you. This is post-resurrection, post-ascension, post-Pentecost, and Mary says, there was this time when he was 12 years old, and he did the craziest thing. Mary really did treasure this in her heart, and how I know she did is because we have it in the Bible. Had she forgotten, we would never know this. This is the only memory of Jesus' childhood we even have. This is it. It's the only time he spoke before he started his public ministry that's in the scripture. This is the only snapshot in the photograph of Jesus' childhood. Pretty impressive. You know what I believe? I believe that if you have Christian friends, that God reveals something of his character through them for you. I have this friend named Lawton. He's a very long-time friend of mine. I met when I was about a sophomore in college, and he does the craziest things. He's the only guy I know that's doing exactly what he said he was going to do when we were in college. He's one of these uncompromising people that when he walks in a room, he has this voice that sounds like it belongs on the radio, and no matter what he says, everybody turns their head to see what he's saying. I wish I had his voice. He's got an amazing voice. But whenever I would meet his parents, his dad tells these stories about when Lawton was a child, because he was just as big a character as a baby as he is as an adult. And so his dad, who's from South Carolina and talks like I'm about to talk in just a minute, one time took the young toddler Lawton Jeffcoat to see his Aunt Pamelia in Swansea, South Carolina. And they said, Lawton, would you like 1 cookie or 2? And he said, 3. 3. You want 1 cookie or 2? 3. That is a crystallization of my buddy Lawton. Well, like 2 years ago, Lawton got married. He's the same age as me, so he held out for a long, long time for a wife. And so I thought up this perfect roast for him, perfect toast, to say at his wedding. And then the joker went out west to get married in Arizona, and I couldn't go, so I never got a chance to give him his toast. But I thought it was apropos and fit into the scripture here. Some men settle for what life offers them and are poor. They settle for less than what life offers them and are poor. Some men accept what life offers and are content. But some men demand more than what life offers, and they change the world. That's just my buddy Lawton. That's Jesus. Jesus demands more than what our feeble lives are willing to offer. And in those whom find the surrender changes the world.